The Nectar of Immortality. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj's Discourses on the Eternal. Edited by Robert Powell PhD. Chapters 8 to Chapter 14 of 21 chapters. Thanks and gratitude to the editor, Sri Robert Powell, for the compilation and the book. Thanks and gratitude to the website archive.org for the text used in this video. Chapter 8. In the absence of body identity, where is the mind? Maharaj, there is no doer. There is no creator of this manifest world and universe. There is no enjoyer. All is happening spontaneously. Visitor, while doing japa, that is, repetition of sacred words. Should we bring the meaning of the words into the focus of attention? Maharaj, you should not deliberately try to work out the meaning of the japa. Meaning will spread by itself and you will charge you in due course according to your quality. Manifestation of the dynamic Shakti or energy takes place through the person and varies with each individual. By all means perform your family activities. Comply with worldly and social responsibilities with full zest and enthusiasm. But at least understand and know your own self, what you are, and gradually you will realize that as the knower you have no identity with respect to a place or form. All perceptible and tangible movements in the universe and world just happen, without any specific reason. That is, there is functioning, rotating, vibrating, humming, without a purpose. However, you prevail forever without identity of body form, name or any other illusory datum, and whatever the other principle is, defined by and identified with form, illusion, name and body, it creates, nourishes and sustains itself by itself. Later it has to disappear. Understanding all this action play is knowledge. Lord Krishna only spoke about Paramatman, that is, the highest self, as himself. Others also expounded, but they were caught up in their own concepts. If I do any thinking at all, it relates to the manifestation and its natural play. I do not think of altering the course of manifestation. However, when you engage in thinking, it will be at the personality or individual level, about your personal problems. There is nothing to be done. Just find out how this touch of LMness has come about in you. Visitor, when I talk, there is no feeling that I am talking. Maharaj, now you talk from whatever identity you have. What is the support of that identity? Visitor, the words just come out. Maharaj, when you talk, do you depend on your own existence or someone else's? Visitor, on my own identity. Maharaj, this beingness of the self is of a short duration. It is experienced for a short time only. But the one that experiences the beingness exists forever. You must realize that the experiencer, you, is the ever-present, existing principle. From what identity are you going to talk? Visitor, since I have absolutely no desire to talk, it does not come from the former. Maharaj, I want a precise reply to my question. Why did you utter some irrelevant words? I again repeat my question. Are you talking from the standpoint of the short duration beingness, or the eternal? Visitor, there is no personal I that is talking. Maharaj, do not give me that. I accuse you that you alone are talking. Are you talking from the temporary position, or the permanent one? Visitor, not from the temporary position. Maharaj, you are not telling the truth. Visitor, it is my experience that no I is talking. When you say that I, the person, is talking, it is not true. Maharaj, you are silly to say this, as the true knowledge has not been revealed to you. Are you going to give me the information from the standpoint of the temporary phase or the other? You do not seem to understand my question. Visitor, it shows clearly to me that what appears temporal is really temporal. Maharaj, Then what type of information will you give someone about the state which is permanent? Visitor: I will insist that he should go and see a Satguru Maharaj. Then where is the value or worth of the person who is guiding? Visitor: he will be a guide to some few people who will be visiting him. Maharaj: I am going to send you out of here. I am not going to give you any knowledge. Should I teach you the ABC of all this? Read the book I Am That and ponder over it first. Every time a fellow comes here, am I to teach him from scratch? How was I prior to the appearance of beingness? How and why did the beingness appear? We must get the answers to those questions only. Visitor: I follow the approach shown by my guru. Whatever is acquired is unreal and time-bound. Maharaj: this anybody can say. How did this body and beingness arise? I want to know that. Visitor: I have not decided what I should talk about. Whatever is imbibed by me will express itself. Maharaj: nobody can decide what he is going to talk about. Suppose you prepare yourself to talk a lot here, and cannot recollect it. Then what? It is not as if whatever you decide is actually going to transpire every time. The sense that you are is a big thing. What is most significant is the fact that you remember your sense of being. Subsequently, all other things appear. Earlier this memory I am was not, and suddenly it appeared. Now I expound on the spiritual talk called Arupana. In Marathi the word Arupana is derived from the word Arupa, which means message. Therefore, to deliver any spiritual talk that is Nirupana, the primary message I am must first be present. Then whatever ensues from this primary message will be the spiritual talk. The spiritual message which is delivered gives information about those who least tend to the message. For delivering this message, the Absolute I assumes the beingness. Now take the case of a government courier. He merely delivers a government message. But, he is not the government. He carries out his duty as a government servant. But here the LMness itself is the government and the courier. Some prophets say they are messengers of God. But Krishna does not say that. He emphatically declares all this creation is out of me. But I the Absolute am apart from it. And whatever is created out of me, blazes like the fireworks in a festival, and gets extinguished. But I the Absolute prevail forever. There are different methods of expounding spirituality. I do not learn by rote the spiritual pronouncements of others. The main point to be understood is this. How and why did this sense of my being appear, with the title of birth? And how was I, prior to the sense of being? Only a very rare one understands this. There have been many incarnations. But only Bhagavan Krishna said, I am the creator of all the avatars and I am also their knower. Both Shankaracharya and Ramana Maharshi have explained this aspect of spirituality with clarity. How am I the eternal I? And how am I, the one qualified by the sense of beingness and time? This is to be understood. That is all. But the great Mula Maya deludes you by influencing you to believe that you have taken millions of births. But you, the ignorant one, never ponder on this in a correct manner. Prior to your birth, you had no knowledge that you were and that you experienced millions of such births. Can such a story be believed at all? You believe that you are born, and that you have rebirths, don't you? What are you and how are you? Unless attention is paid to this, and it is understood fully, you will not be released from the domination of such concepts. They are also conveyed by the 4 Vedas, which have made many persons dance to their tune. When I concentrated my attention on the point of waking, the Vedas folded their palms in total surrender and went into silence. To understand the process, consider first the Prakriti and Purusha, the 2 eternal principles. As a result of their interaction, the 5 great elements and the 3 gunas have emerged: space, air, fire, water, together with sattva, rajas and tamas, formed the earth, making it ready for further development. On the earth grew vegetation, and when the juice of the vegetation took body form, the dormant principle of beingness also appeared in it. The five elements have no inkling of their sense of being. The beingness is manifested in body form during the five elemental process. From then on, rules, regulations, rituals etc. were formulated. Now that eternal principle, which did not know its existence, is manifest through millions of forms. Before the birth, neither that principle nor the parents knew each other. The principle was planted in fluid form in the womb of the mother. In the course of 9 months it developed into the form of an infant, who is the very seed of all future experiences. This seed beingness is the pure sattva, and the quintessence of the food body, and it is wholly ignorance only. The seed of future experiences determines prarabdha, which is whatever that future child will have to suffer and experience. The unfortunate child, who was not in his knowingness before birth, is now presented with the whole gamut of sufferings at birth. At the moment of a child's conception, the exact photo of the total situation in the cosmos, including the material out of which he was created, parents, position of planets, stars in the firmament etc. was imprinted on him. What is that principle which takes the photograph? That supreme principle is known by titles such as Brahma Sutra, Mula Maya, Mahatattva, Hiranyagarbha, Atma Prem etc. It is called Mahatattva because it has supreme significance in the world. This Mahatattva is further known by godly names such as Christ, Krishna, Shiva, and Vishnu. It is also called Pirati, that is, the ocean of life seething with millions of forms. Lord Krishna says that through this Yoga Maya, the supreme principle, I execute all the universal functions in the world, while I, as absolute, remain aloof. Editor, literally, great truth. The entire manifest universe is linked and charged with this energy through Yoga Maya, the Yoga Shakti. This beingness was not fully manifest in the womb. Therefore you remember that your LMness, your destiny, has appeared spontaneously and unsolicitedly. This beingness, which is manifest, how long is it going to last? It has brought with it its own expiration date. Hence, it is time-bound. In the womb, the beingness does not know itself. A jnani is called thusly because he understands the roots of beingness, and that it is pure ignorance only. He does not involve himself in the play of this beingness, and hence transcends it. He observes the sprouting, nourishing and disappearance of this principle, and knows he is not that principle. He is the witness and knower of that beingness, the prarabdha. That beingness, which was in the nascent stage in the womb, felt its beingness a little after coming into the world and accepted the identity of its body as itself. Through nourishment, this form began to develop into the image of the parents whose photo was imprinted upon it at the time of conception. This little container of food essence is being sucked by that beingness. I am, day and night. The principle that sucks that container is not the body. It is apart from the body. This beingness principle dwells in that food body itself. Just as the child sucks on the mother's breast, the beingness consumes the body. You want self-knowledge, don't you? It is by no means child's play. If you want to be a jnani, you must understand what you are. That is, what this I amness is and how it did appear. What was your true state prior to LMness? Only Lord Krishna has expounded this clearly. He says, since LMness appears and disappears, I, the Absolute, cannot be that. I forever prevail. My Satguru told me, in spite of your worldly activities, you are unborn. You are apart from all. So any person can become a jnani provided he clearly understands the following. Beingness appears as a result of the food essence body, functions by itself, and disappears when the quality of food body fails to sustain it. In the process of this understanding, he realizes that he is not the beingness, and so abides in the jnani state. There have been so many incarnations who claimed the highest spiritual status, but they got stuck in concepts gathered from outside themselves either by listening or by reading books. To conduct any worldly or spiritual activities, words are necessary. Since a jnani transcends concepts, he is word-free. In the quietude of the jnani, the words went into silence, because the Vedas, while saying I am not this, I am not that, exhausted totally all their words and became Vedanta, that is, the end of Vedas, end of words. I have told you enough about the Prarabdha and its experiences, and how and why they were created. Now in this whole play, where are you? What is your location? What is your identity that you would like to preserve? What identity of yours right from childhood until now has remained faithful to you? Once, you had the identity of a child, followed by that of youth, then of middle age, finally that of an old man. Amongst all these, which is your one true identity? As a matter of fact, there is no evidence at all that you were born. Visitor, I do not think of any identity as such. In all my experience, at times I feel the sense of I much less. It is just attention and object of attention. But when the attention is on I am, then I am becomes less. Maharaj, when you put your attention on I am, do you feel any physical sensation? Visitor, when my attention is not on I am, it is gone. But when my attention is very strong, objects are perceived. Maharaj, but is your attention stable, permanently? Editor, referring to the famous expression niti niti, total negation in order to arrive at what one is. Visitor, yes. Maharaj, if so, describe that. And do you have this experience? Visitor, yes. Maharaj, then, why did you come here? Visitor, the experience is not continuous. Maharaj, if it is firmly stabilized, then it must be continuous and forever. Visitor, it is stable for a moment. Maharaj, who witnesses the two states of pure and impure attention? Visitor, maybe the knower, the attention. Perhaps someone remarks on attention, but I do not speak. Maharaj, who is paying attention to all this, you or somebody else? Visitor, the truth knows. Maharaj, you study it properly. Do meditation as often as possible. Go into samadhi for hours at a time. Visitor, my mind is still, but it is attentive. I look at this I am. Maharaj, you have come up to the stage of knowingness, but you still have to reach your destination. This is possible only when attention merges into attention. If it had expended itself, you would not have come here. Visitor, oh, I see, I should have chewed up my attention. Maharaj, yes. Currently, you are stagnating at the stage of attention. It should be fully consumed. You are now talking from that stage of knowledge, I am, which is time-bound and temporary. Second visitor, objectless attention. Could it be that? Maharaj, can that attention be without any object? If attention is there, the object is also there. Visitor, when attention and its objects fade out, then can one attain samadhi? Maharaj, who is the knower of it? Visitor, you are laying a bait for me? Maharaj, talk for yourself. Second visitor, my mind is very still, and it is not moving towards any object. It seems to be a stillness of mind, a quietude. This is the result of my experiences here. Maharaj, what did he say? Visitor, when something comes to feel that attention, my stillness is broken and the sense of I am comes into being. At that moment, my mind looks out towards the object, so that the object and the sense I am arise at the same time. Maharaj, you appear to be talking from the body-mind state. I am talking from the no-mind state. The mind persists so long as the body identity is there. When this is gone, where is the mind? The waking state, deep sleep and beingness are titled by the term birth, and it is a temporary phase. Visitor, but don't one have to investigate the body-mind from that state in order to know it? Maharaj, am I a kindergarten teacher, that I should start from A, B, C, that is, the body-mind state? My talk begins from Prarabdha and the root of beingness. Editor, don't deal with body-mind. The 31st of January, 1980, Chapter 9. Through the touch of beingness, the entire cosmos arises. Maharaj, whatever is seen and felt in totality, space-like, is universal manifestation of Brahman. But forms emanated, and these are felt as separate and isolated from each other. For a jnani, everything is the Brahm in its expression only. Each living being has the sense of presence. This sense identifies itself with the body form and thus functions in the world. The sense of presence of being has tremendous potential, particularly in the human body, because the body senses in this species are developed to the highest degree. This sense of being, which is the consciousness, has the capacity to realize its true nature and abide in the Aishwarya state, that is, the godly state. The ancient scriptures, the four Vedas, have affirmed the sense of being as the pure Brahman only, which is also vouched for by the sages and saints. The spray of the ocean contains innumerable droplets, but they are the ocean only when not separated from the ocean. On separation they are individual drops. Nevertheless, the salty taste of the water, whether of the ocean or of its droplets, is the same. Just as the salty taste is present in the entire ocean, the beingness or the sense of I am in the human form has the inherent capacity to be all-pervading. But having conditioned and thereby limited itself to the body form, it is interested only in protecting and preserving the body. As a result of the arising of body forms, the manifest consciousness apparently was fragmented. But this fragmentation should be viewed only with respect to the body forms, because in actuality the consciousness prevails, both within and without the bodies. The mind is the outflow of the 5 vital energies in the body, known as the Pancha Pranas. It glorifies in, and gloats over, the impressions, the samskaras, which are received from the outside through the body senses. But the mind can purify itself in the association of sages and saints, who for this purpose commend the practice of chanting the sacred names of God, doing penance, etc. As a matter of natural phenomenon, the pure dynamic Brahman unknowingly wears various bodies, like garments, and then functions through them. This results in perception of the world taking place through the senses of the bodies. But into the bargain the indwelling principle, that is, the sense of I amness, embraces the body as itself and acts in response to the dictates and demands of the body. But in spite of all these distortions and modifications, the sense of I amness remains unchanged in its inherent nature. The very moment that this pure dynamic Brahman, which is the motive force behind the body's functioning, discontinues its impetus, the body goes into disorder, commonly termed as death. Thus, the consciousness does not go anywhere. Merely its functioning through the dead body is extinguished then and there, and the pure dynamic Brahman remains unaffected. Editor, in Hindi philosophy, the prana, Sanskrit for breath, the primal energy or vital breath, divides itself 5-fold. As a king employs officials to rule over different portions of his kingdom, So prana associates with himself 4 other pranas, each a portion of himself and each assigned a separate function. Prasna Upanishad. The other 4 pranas are apana, samana, vyana, and udana. The pranas are the essential energy component in such physiological functions as breathing, digestion and assimilation of food, excretion, and procreation. As long as the sense of being or the consciousness dwelling in the body does not realize its true nature, it is bound to identify with the body and all its actions by claiming doship. But as a result of this claim, it is subjected to intense suffering when the body goes into disintegration and approaches death. In a healthy body, movement of the vital breath is clearly felt. But when death occurs, the vital breath quits the body and movement stops instantly. However, in the case of the Brahman, there is no question of movement at all and it continues to be omnipresent. The point to be clearly understood is that when a body dies, this basic principle, the pure Brahman, does not leave and proceed anywhere as an individual entity, simply because it ever pervades everything and everywhere. But, at the moment of death of the body, its expression through that body subsides then and there only. When a musical instrument is played, the sound emanating from it fills the space around. But the moment the instrument stops playing, the sound does not travel anywhere. It diminishes and comes to an end. At present, this body form is the product of the 5 elements. These elements are created out of the Atman. But how does one recognize this Atman? It is by understanding the knowledge I am, the Atmajnana. Just as space is all-pervading, so the knowledge I am is all-pervading, limitless and infinite. How strange! Such a supreme principle is treated as though it is a body. All the sufferings are due to this mistaken identity. If you give the highest honor due to it, you will not undergo either suffering or death. Birth and death are here says. A birth indicates the birth of a body, the latter is made up of food juices. There is no question of the Atman needing to enter the body since it is already everywhere, like the sky. If a body is healthy, its functioning will start naturally because of the prevalence of the Atman principle. This principle is immortal and indestructible. If you want to get a taste of it, understand clearly that it is nothing other than the knowledge you are, the touch of elemness. Do not forget this basic principle. This great principle, the Atman, remains unaffected by whatever actions you do from your body identity. Nevertheless, the touch of elemness appears only when a food body is available. When you state I am very strong and healthy, it means that plenty of wholesome food has been consumed and digested by you to make your body strong. But the body is not your sense of being. Even though it is strong, it has to be replenished daily with food and water. The vital breath, without lips and tongue, chews and sucks food essences from the body, while the mind sings in praise of the impressions collected externally through the body senses. And you in turn feel as if you are doing all these activities and claim them as yours. Let us call the sense of being the guna, that is, the quality or jnana, which means the knowledge I am. This guna or jnana exists always latently in a food particle. So whenever a food form is available, this latent quality manifests itself with movement and pulsation initially, and as mind later. The supreme all-pervading principle whose expression through a body is called guna is named as Saguna Brahman in the Vedas. The name has several meanings like love to be, sense of elemness, beingness, etc. This state has no form or shape, as even the mind has no shape. Only a food body has form. This very principle expresses itself as worms and germs out of a decomposed human body. Whenever surplus food is thrown out and allowed to decompose, you will find live forms crawling in and out of it. The life-giving, dynamic Saguna Brahman gives animation to food forms. Whenever conditions are conducive, but its expression varies according to the forms. Thus, we recognize these as worms, insects, birds, animals and so on, by their very shapes. The very Saguna Brahman, when manifested through a human body, has the potential to lead a seeker to the highest, provided it is understood and realized correctly. And the Saguna Brahman is nothing else but your sense of being and dwells in every human body. By abidance in this state, birth and death will be transcended. For this purpose you do not have to practice any rituals or spiritual disciplines. Only be prior to mind. Just be. Many persons are busy in the name of spirituality, in doing penances, chanting sacred names, making pilgrimages and pursuing other disciplines for their salvation. Let them do whatever they want. Probably they are required to cleanse away the sins of their past births according to their prarabdha. If you happen to come across a sage who has realized his true nature, you will not be required to do anything in the way of spiritual disciplines. This is because through his teachings, he will reveal your true nature, as by placing a mirror before you. Many so-called sages move from place to place propagating their spiritual knowledge. But why should I roam about and where? In my true state I am everywhere. This will be realized by you also when you abide in the knowledge I am. You go to your uncle or cousin because you are related to them through your body. But if you are everywhere, why should you go about? If you imbibe fully whatever I have expounded, no more spiritual disciplines will be required of you. With this understanding you will observe and conclude that whatever spiritual and worldly activities are happening through you, they are merely entertainments for passing time, and that they are the functioning of the manifest dynamic principle only the Maya. To abide in the knowledge I am is one's true religion, the Svadharma. But instead of following it, you opted to be irreligious by submitting to the dictates of your concepts, which led you to believe that you are a body. This misconception ensured only the fear of death. If food is not supplied to your body, it will grow weaker and weaker, and one day your vital breath will leave the body. People will pronounce you dead, but you will not have the information. It may be that you are sinful, but this is only in respect of your identity as a body. So also your death refers to the body identity. Please apprehend this clearly, that you, the absolute bereft of any body identity, are complete, perfect and the unborn. But you are accused of millions of births in past lives. In this connection, could you tell me at least one of your past births? If you remember, do not go by what others say, but speak honestly of your own, direct experience only. As a matter of fact, you never had any birth. Various forms are appearing and disappearing as a result of the 5-elemental play. In this play, where are you and what are you? And where is the question of your coming and going? What are these religions and cults? Are they not merely the propagation of the fond ideas of sages and prophets to whom certain spiritual concepts occurred? And this could happen because the sages and prophets recognized the sense of being initially. Then they meditated and abided in it and finally transcended it, resulting in their ultimate realization. Thereafter, whatever knowledge sprouted out of them spontaneously became the religions and cults of their followers, because of their deep emotional involvement. The most important fact to be understood is only this: if the touch of beingness is, then everything is. If the beingness is not, the world is not, the cosmos is not, and nothing is there. Have you any questions now? Visitor, you talked about the beingness sustained by the food body, and about the dynamic manifest consciousness. Are they the same? Maharaj, both mean the same. There is no form or shape for this principle, just as the vital breath has no form, which is, however, dynamic and pulsating. The vital breath alone gives animation to the body, and it will operate so long as the body is healthy. Whatever is seen and perceived is continuously in a state of creation and destruction. But you in your true nature are unborn and indestructible. Unless you realize your true nature, there will be no peace for you. No matter how much you strive to acquire any worldly gains, they are bound to go. So also your concepts and various identities. Even if you follow any religion in the hope of obtaining something permanent from the outside, you will be sorely disappointed. The main purpose of true spirituality is to liberate oneself completely from one's concepts and conditionings. By following any religion, cult or creed, one becomes inevitably conditioned, because one is obliged to conform and accept its disciplines, both physical and mental. One may get a little peace for some time, but such a peace will not last long. In your true nature, you are the knower of concepts and therefore prior to them. Visitor, a dead body is lying on the ground, and since the manifest Brahmin is everywhere, it could not have left the body. Then what is that principle that left the body to make it dead? Maharaj, let us regard the Brahmin as space for the purpose of this discussion. Can the space be confined within the body? Next tell me, where did the death of that body begin and the all-pervading space? Is that possible? What sort of a question did you ask? You'd better reframe your question to make it sensible. Visitor, in the living body there should be something other than space. Maharaj, other than space? Visitor, space is there. Maharaj, in the space, a lump of food was there and out of this food a body was formed. The manifest Brahman, which we have called space, expresses itself through the healthy food body. You are inclined to call it Atman, but the Atman is not created like a body. It is the unborn principle, the Brahman. Visitor, oh, that means Atman is never created. Maharaj, certainly, Atman has no birth. It is through the all-pervading Brahman that the body, together with the vital breath, functions, and then you interpret the process as the birth of Atman. All this expounding is only for those who have a genuine urge to understand spirituality. For others who are anxious to better their worldly lives, worshipping of various gods is recommended. When a healthy body and vital breath prana function together, the sense of beingness expresses itself by putting into operation the limbs and senses of the body. This expression is an advertisement, which declares the eternal existence of the ultimate principle, the absolute, the para-Brahman. When the body dies, the sense of beingness disappears and so there is no advertisement of the absolute through the dead body. Nevertheless, the absolute continues to prevail as ever. Visitor, that is what I wanted to know. Maharaj, a seeker was advised by a guru with the words "look back," and the simple-minded seeker looked behind, taking the command literally. So the guru told him again, understand the meaning underlying the words. Understand your state prior to the present one. Go to the source. Look back. Recede. You accept a concept and stop at it. Thus, your spiritual progress stagnates at the conceptual level. You indicated your identity at various stages of your life by such concepts as a child, a boy, a youth, a middle-aged man, etc. But which conceptual identity of yours remained faithful to you? All the identities, in the course of time, proved illusory. Even the very principle behind the identities, that is the sense of your beingness, will prove illusory. Since it has appeared, it has to disappear. Therefore, it is temporary and time-bound. But the knower of the beingness is the eternal absolute. Whatever experience you undergo is imperfect. Nevertheless, you will continue some spiritual practice, because the mind will not allow you to be quiet. For the purpose of acquiring knowledge and to know the Brahman, you meditate on something. But what is your identity as a meditator? You are neither the meditation nor the object of meditation. whatever it may be, you, which is apart from meditation and its object, are the perfect, the totality, the eternal absolute. The 2nd of February, 1980, Chapter 10. Wherever is food, therein dwells that visitor. To me the consciousness appears and disappears. Maharaj, you are telling a lie. How can you know that the consciousness is not only in sleep? The consciousness is not. From the moment of waking to the moment of sleeping, the consciousness is there. Whenever you observe an object, the mind is to be there to interpret it. With consciousness the mind is there to perceive. Visitor, whenever an object is seen, witnessing happens. I do not know what I should call this witnessing. Maharaj, without mind, there cannot be any witnessing. It can happen only when the objects of mind exist, which is predicated upon the presence of the consciousness. Primarily witnessing happens to the consciousness. In the realm of the mind, all the activities occur to the mind and intellect, and witnessing of that happens to the self. If the consciousness holds on to the body as its identity, then true knowledge will never dawn on you. The self is given the guise of the body, hence the trouble. Visitor, there are many gurus and many paths. How do we select a right guru and a correct path? Maharaj, many visitors come here, and many of them are mainly interested in subjects connected with body and mind. But I am not interested in these topics. Rarely someone wants knowledge of the self. My present subject matter is, whatever is gone, does not vanish and die, but disperses and manifests into multiplicity. While the consciousness leaves the body, it remains ample, widespread and manifest. In the manifest world, avatars and social workers have for thousands of years been trying to bring about a change. But in spite of their collective efforts, there has been no improvement at all. Human beings all have the same type of mind and intellect in which they are embroiled and caught up. But no improvement is possible in that state. I always go by the basic principle in the background. Unknowingly, everything is happening against that background. From that principle, a person is normally engaged in activities that may be considered good or bad, but are actually just mental occupation. Everybody is trying to protect and preserve the time factor, that is, the consciousness. So long as time is there, consciousness is there, and time is there so long as the body is present. When the lifespan is over, time has gone. When time has gone, consciousness is gone. As long as the beingness is there, activities proceed. Once you realize that you are not the body, then there is no more attraction for the manifestation. When a firm conviction is established that one is not the body, one's behavior has become just like that of the 5 elements, claiming no credit as things are merely happening by themselves. Such a one can have no needs and demands. Many people clothed in spiritual attitudes are not inclined to give up their bodily identity. In the name of spirituality, they go on pursuing creeds, faiths and disciplines, but they do not relinquish their cherished identity, nor do they proceed inwards towards their self. All the diverse guises that are adopted are the characteristics of the mind, its various inclinations, latencies, and not those of the self. Many people change creeds as some change wives when dictated by their mind. When a butcher attains the realized state, he continues his vocation of slaughtering animals, because he knows that it is only the function of the body but that he is not the body and mind. He does not even need a god nor the knowledge of the Brahman. Once you realize that you are not the body and the mind, you have no needs and demands, then you are one with the manifest consciousness. In due course you are not even the consciousness, when you dwell in the highest, thus ultimately also transcending the consciousness. Manifest consciousness is the Brahman. Once stabilized in the Brahman, there is no longer any use for knowledge of the Brahman, that is, knowledge of the self. What can be the use of Brahman to the Brahman? Therefore, I, the Brahman, do nothing and need nothing. At this stage of Vidhi Sthiti, the body-free state, there is no high nor low, no real nor unreal, no inside nor outside, and no dimension of any kind in that state. In the name of spirituality, people adopt as their religion certain creeds and concepts and develop pride. Later, they give up all that and accept another creed, and so on. Finally, they will never know when their bodies kick off. At present, you put your faith in the body. Once you give up that faith, you are the Brahmin, the manifest principle. Bhagavan Krishna said, "Remember me, I am always there." What is that state of Krishna? He is beyond the body-mind state. That means, he is the consciousness. Further, Krishna as the Absolute is the witness of consciousness also. So whenever anybody thinks of him, it is of eternity only. In thinking thusly, a devotee himself dwells in eternity. Therefore Krishna says, "Remember me, memorize me. Do not use your identity with the body, but by all means use the body. Although I amness dwells in the body, it rejects the body as I am not it. I, in the Krishna state, do not belong to the Hindu, Christian, or Muslim faith. Why? Because I am not the body, and therefore I prevail in a Hindu, Christian, Muslim, in everyone and everything. Bring me a Muslim or a Christian without a body. Can you bring anyone like that? All religions and creeds are at the body-mind level. Is there any indwelling principle, such as Hindu, Christian, or Muslim, in the food we cultivate and consume? Thus, food does not provide any religious nourishments to indicate the religion of the person. A child of a Muslim food body is considered a Muslim conventionally. This applies similarly to a child of a Hindu. Because the parents call themselves Hindu or Muslim, they impose their particular religion on their offspring. Could there be any religion, creed or faith in the food a product of the five elements? From the same eating place, people of different faiths consume a common food. But the moment the food is consumed by their body, it is given the religious status of their food body. How strange. In food, innately and dormantly, the sense of I amness is already present. Once the food is consumed and assimilated in the body, the I amness manifests itself. With the appearance of a body, the necessity to assign a name is felt. We impose a name to identify that body, and then the very name is taken as the person. With the body, a form appears, and with the form, a name to identify it. But how strange, the name is considered as the very person. The world is full of children. Actually, they are products of food, and children yet to be born are already extant in the food essence, though in a dormant state. When the food essence takes a form, it manifests a body, and the body provides sustenance to the indwelling I am principle. Just as milk is sucked by a child from a feeding bottle, so the food essence is consumed by the I amness from the body. It is eaten and digested by the I amness the whole day. With this understanding, we should realize that we are not the body. This is liberation and realization. All of you are quiet now. Why? Because you are being cleared of your present identity, of your conviction that you are a body and mind. Therefore, you are unable to ask any questions. To me, witnessing of the body, mind and beingness just happens. Now suppose some pain is felt due to some cause. Who understands it? It is the consciousness, which is sustained by the food essence body. By consciousness I mean the universal consciousness only. But the witness of the consciousness is the highest principle, the absolute. The fragrance or sweetness of the food essence body is the knowledge I am. It has no name and form. It is the I love state, the I taste. But from your body mind state you will go to pilgrimages and various gurus. So long as the consciousness is there, that humming goes on. And who does the humming? The principle which is humming and saying I am is itself your guru. If you imbibe what I say and understand this guru, the consciousness, and dwell there, you will be self-realized. Then no more rituals, disciplines and spirituality are necessary. Is it clear now to you what is termed guru? It is the sense of elemness. In the devotional approach, worship is prescribed. In the ritual, prasada is prepared first, which is a food offering to the deity being worshipped. Before invoking the deity by ringing a bell, the prasada must be kept ready because God is sustained on food and the God is no one else but the consciousness, which depends on food. Once a disciple, who had learned the art of bringing back to life the dead, saw a bone lying on his path while going through a forest. He felt like testing his skill on the bone, which happened to be that of a lion. So he began chanting mantras and performing the appropriate rituals. But he forgot to provide any offering. The bone materialized into a lion, who appeared quite hungry. So the animal looked all around for food and not finding any in its vicinity, roared ferociously and pounced upon the very disciple and gobbled him up. Whenever food of the right quality and in the proper form is available and when the vital breath functions in it, the elemness principle manifests itself through it. This I amness is the Bhagavan, the godly principle. During my wanderings, after meeting my guru, I once visited a holy place known as Pandapa. This place is famous for the temple of God, Vithoba. I used to carry a staff, and to cover myself I only had a piece of loincloth. On this occasion I stumbled upon a cremation ground. I was not interested in visiting temples, but I like to see the temple architecture rather than the idols inside. Within the confines of that cremation ground, a skinny man was sitting in a coma. Out of curiosity, I approached him and queried, "Oh sir, why do you sit in this god-forsaken place?" He replied, "Why do I sit here? I really do not know." "Don't you visit the temple of Lord Vithoba?" I asked him further. "No. Why should I?" was his short reply. "But how do you manage for food?" I asked. "Well, that is no problem. I eat the balls of food kept as offering for the dead bodies, and I use the cloth in which the bodies are wrapped to cover myself." He said this while I stood quite astonished at his naive replies, and continued, "Why should I go anywhere for my needs? Wherever is food, therein dwells that." These words carried a profound meaning, and I felt that he was spiritually quite an advanced soul. Why should we go anywhere? Wherever there is food formed together with the vital breath, therein dwells the godly principle. Therefore, I do not go anywhere. This godly principle is also called Bhagavan, the consciousness, the elemness, etc., and is praised by many names and titles. After self-realization, any behavior or actions expressed through the body of a sage are spontaneous and totally unconditioned. They cannot be bound to any disciplines. A realized sage may be discovered in an unkempt person reclining in the ashes of a cremation ground, or on the cushioned bed in a palace as a king. He may be a butcher by vocation or a successful businessman. Nevertheless, a realized one, having transcended the realm of beingness, ever abides in the eternal absolute. The 4th of February, 1980. Chapter 11. Even the highest is useless to the highest. Visitor, it seems to me that whenever a form is infused with life, consciousness is produced, which appears by reflection of awareness in matter. Should it not be the other way around? Maharaj, whatever you say is all right from the body-mind state. When the sense of being is cleansed from its body-mind state, then it is universal. This is the source for the creation of the 5 elements, 3 gunas, followed by the vegetable and animal kingdoms. Visitor, There is prana, the vital force in plants. Is there also consciousness in plants? Maharaj, all that is seen and perceived in space is the creation of consciousness and is infused with it. The entire created world of form will finally merge into space. From the bodily standpoint, all forms appear as separate entities. But at the consciousness level, they are the consciousness manifest and not separate. As you make spiritual progress, you will realize that the source of the universe is your consciousness only. At present, you are in the grip of the discursive intellect. Because of your identity with the body, therefore you are unable to understand. Whatever knowledge you now collect is from this identity, but that is not true knowledge. But when you have the knowledge about what you are, you will understand that the very world and universe are contained in the speck of your consciousness only. At this stage you would have transcended your body-mind sense. But today, whatever knowledge you acquire is through your firm belief that you are the body-mind. When you see the inner world as something external, you term it a dream. But what is it that is perceived inside? It is contained in the sense that you are, in your consciousness. Exactly the same process takes place in the waking state also. Your consciousness, the sense of presence, is the very shell in which the waking world or the dream world proliferates. This is the actual state of affairs. But you accept all that you see with your body sense, and whatever you perceive is through the inadequate yardstick of your limited intellect. Whatever is visible or perceptible is an outcome of space only. When all that disappears, again space prevails. When your world concretizes out of space and in space, you term all that with various names and titles for your convenience, to carry out your day-to-day activities. In reality, no such names and titles exist. None of such creations has any authoritative, valid form or individuality of its own. To realize this you must accomplish Jnana Yoga, which means the self subsiding in the self. Again, Jnana Yoga means to inquire how this I-am-ness and the world came about. To realize that I am-ness and the world are one is Jnana Yoga. Here, the knowledge I am should subside in itself. But all you really want is to keep your body-mind sense intact. That just will not do. Thus, to realize that I-am-ness means the manifest world and the universe is the very fulfillment of Jnana Yoga. When the sense of being appears, it has no body sense. Out of that sense of being, the whole cosmos is created. In that creation you also have a form, but you accept body as your identity and move about and function in the world. The principle that motivates and enlivens the body is the sense of beingness only, but it is not the body. All this play in the cosmos and the world functions in the consciousness, and finally the play will merge into consciousness. Ponder over this without identifying with the body, and you, the consciousness, will know that accepting the form as identity is Maya, illusion. Thus, the consciousness is the very seed principle of the entire cosmos. It comprises the dynamic life force, guna, which is the quality of beingness, and prana or vital breath. Consciousness gives the knowledge that you are. When the consciousness first appears it is free from identification of any kind with this or that, even though being the dynamic manifest universal principle. Due to its identification with the body it suffers pain and pleasure. The consciousness knows itself through itself. Only a rare one realizes that the entire cosmos manifestation springs out of one seed consciousness. From Atma Yoga, only Visva Yoga, that is, one's unity with the cosmos, is realized when one unites with oneself. The self abiding in the self is the Jnana Yoga, which is a nameless and formless state. But later whatever manifests itself assumes a name and form. By merely acquiring knowledge one cannot claim to be a Jnani. The Jnana Yogi is not required to know anything as he is knowledge itself. Jnana Yoga is the highest state in spirituality. In this state there is no individuality, as this is the all-pervading state. Rarely will someone put a question from this standpoint, and rarer still will there be someone who will answer these questions. The sense of individuality and needs are felt prior to Jnana Yoga. But after the accomplishment of Mana Yoga, one is beyond needs and individual personality. Kundalini Yoga experts revel in the visions and powers obtained through yoga but will not expound the source of Kundalini energy. Visitor, I quite agree that we shall reach the highest level. But you have said that from the highest suddenly springs LMness. Thus we are at the root of a total mystery. Maharaj, what is the source prompting you to speak of levels and to think of reaching the highest level? Level is only a concept. As a result of separation from the highest, the primary concept I am arose and subsequently other concepts developed. Separation means otherness, duality. Visitor, I thought I heard you say that there is total non-differentiation at the supreme level. On that supreme level is there also total LMness? Maharaj, out of non-knowingness, knowingness appears. This knowingness should realize itself. When we speak, we should investigate from where the language arises. It sprouts from the sense of I amness. But what is the source of this I amness? Actually I do not talk. Only when occurring spontaneously does the talk express itself. But the primary occurrence is the reminder I am, out of which springs the language and the talk. So, what is this I amness? Remember that in the primary reminder I am the whole cosmos and your body exist. All bodies are created from and sustained on material, biological essences, but the sense of being is the quintessence, sattva guna, of the body. Who and from where is this sense of being? This has to be thoroughly investigated. When this is done, while abiding necessarily in the knowledge I am the sense of beingness, an amazing revelation will be made. Namely that from your own seed beingness the whole manifest universe is projected, including your body. This supreme and powerful principle, though being itself without a form and name, upon sensing I am instantly embraces the body and mistakenly accepts this as its own. It clings to the body identity so quickly that the fact of its own independent existence is easily missed. The essence of being, which is humming I am, is a prerequisite for any functioning of the body. When a person is sick and there is no response when the patient is called or beckoned, this sense of being is clouded. Visitor, should one fall asleep as many times as possible in order to experience LMness in the waking state? Maharaj, LMness cannot be experienced or recognized from the body-mind sense. It is the I amness that makes the body and senses function and experience. You are quite knowledgeable. Now understand this. If you think you are dying, it shows you still identify with your body and that your knowledge I am has not merged in itself, which also indicates that you have not attained Mana Yoga. Your spiritual knowledge, therefore, smacks of impurity, while you are actually the manifest knowledge I am. You cling to a body as yourself. This is the impurity. We talked about death, which is the end point of life. But what about the starting point? The birth? Prior to birth you were in the womb for 9 months. During that period, did you have humkara, the humming of beingness? Immediately after birth, the indwelling beingness does not yet feel itself palpably. After a few months, recognition starts. Still later the child begins to know various objects, such as his body and his mother, as also sounds and words. At this stage, through the mother, he knows his name and other ideas. You as a fetus, did you know yourself in the womb of the mother? Visitor, but there was no consciousness in that form, Maharaj. Was it knowing itself in those 9 months in the womb? Visitor, no, but it was there. Maharaj, Consciousness is all prevailing, but it remained dormant in the fetus because it was not a fully developed body. Visitor. But it was in the fetus. Maharaj. Where is the argument? Consciousness is everywhere. It is in the flowers. You, me, everywhere. Visitor. Good. Good. I have understood, Maharaj. What did you understand, visitor? That there is nothing else but consciousness. Maharaj. No, this is not it. The correct understanding will be when you realize that whatever you have understood so far is invalid. With the fulfillment of Jnana Yoga, all that which is understood is made unreal. The so-called sages who revel in powers obtained, and in the honor received as a result, are not fully realized because their abidance in the self is not complete. A child, who was unblemished, is fed with ideas, just as the blank screen of a TV set displays pictures transmitted from the outside. The child principle, which is consciousness, is the product of a chemical process. I like to refer to consciousness as chemical, but you, at the highest level, are not that chemical in which all the world drama happens. Suppose you are 100-year-old who holds on to this memory that he is 100 years old. It is the chemical. For example, look at the picture of my guru on the wall here. Now who is holding on to the image of my guru? It is the chemical of the photograph. Now this chemical in the body holds on to an identity and carries out activities through the body. I call this expression mechanical. Visitor. But the chemical photograph could not have retained the picture of your guru if he had not been there. Maharaj. But who is this guru and where would this memory I am as well as the chemical be if the highest, that is the absolute, was not there? The eternal existence of the absolute alone makes the appearance of consciousness and all world play possible. So the world play is an image created by consciousness. Visitor. Has universal consciousness taken the form of Maharaj? Maharaj. That speck of consciousness has taken the form of universal consciousness. Its image is the entire universe. Just like the pinprick of consciousness in deep sleep develops into a dream world. Visitor. Does it mean that you are in my dream world? Maharaj. Before referring to me as you, investigate as to what you are. Just as a boomerang hits the person who throws it, similarly your own question has bounced back on you. So you, what is that? And what is more, I am not the body, nor that chemical even. This chemical or the consciousness is also called Matattva, Mula Maya, Hiranaya Garbha, Brahma Sutra etc. But the sum total of all this is the Atma Prem, the love of the self. The one who understands and realizes the Matattva is called the Mahatma presumptuously. You may think you are a Jnani, but if you think so you are an ignorant person only. Visitor. So the awareness is the highest possible term used. Awareness appears to be above LMness. Maharaj. Yes. Provided awareness does not feel I amness, the knowledge of the entire universe merges into that highest state. Whatever qualitative manifestation is there, it is called Bhagavan. All the titles and statuses suggested by the titles, and everything else, have merged into nothingness. The Aishvara which has become the Visvavishaya that is, the universal manifestation has become the Vishaya that is, one without the subjectivity even. This can be understood only by those who are extremely keen to know their own nature. Whatever information I give is about that spark, the speck of consciousness, which has delivered this manifest universe. Further, I the Absolute am not that speck, but I cannot give any information about me, the Absolute. There have been so many dissolutions of cosmoses and universes, so also eons have come and gone, but I the Absolute remain untouched, and my kingdom is ever quiet. Suppose a question is asked of you, what were you 100 years back? You would reply I was not. That means, I was not like this. That is, like this present I am. Who and how could he say I was not like this? The one who says this, was he not there? The one who was prior to 100 years was not like this present I am, but he was and is now. Visitor, he is this I, the Absolute. Maharaj, alright, use whatever words and concepts you like and satisfy yourself. When I call someone a cheat, it satisfies me, and also I call someone a Mahatma because it satisfies me. What were you 100 years ago? Ponder over it. Why do you not investigate the point of conception and its further development? Instead, you are too busy acquiring spiritual and worldly gains. That will not help. In the vegetable juices and food essences this Sverasa, sense of knowingness, and Prarabdha, destiny, exist already in dormant condition. And the quintessence of the food essences and juices is the sense of being or the knowledge I am. Visitor, but could that principle be there without prana? Maharaj, who should be there without prana? Visitor, is it in the flower? Maharaj, not only in flowers but even in the color. It is everywhere. After listening to the knowledge that I am expounding, what will happen? One who understands and imbibes the knowledge will come to the conclusion that whatever is seen, heard, experienced and acquired is totally useless and redundant. Finally, no one will remain but the Nishkama Parabrahman, the desireless eternal absolute state. We go on with spiritual disciplines such as worshipping a god, penance, japa etc. to acquire something spiritual, and if the purpose is attained, it will be Nishkama Parabrahman, which proves everything is useless. Even the highest is useless to the highest. This state is also titled Purna Brahman, Paramatman, and Parameshvara. Now go back one day prior to your conception. That is also the Purna Brahman state. There was no need for anything then. Visitor, I try to follow my thoughts and feelings, but I find that they are changing all the time. I know this changing happens against a background of the changeless in me. Will this way of thinking be useful to me? Maharaj, yes, it will be useful, but intellectually it is alright, but the thinking is unreal. What do you mean by the changeless? When could there be the changeless? Only when you do not know you are, when the sense of being totally merges in itself. Were you not in that changeless state a day prior to your conception? From your body-mind sense you observe everything as separate entities, such as I, you, we, they, etc. But to the changeless absolute all this play of cosmos and universe happens in the cell of beingness. Which identity has remained unchanged from childhood to your present age? No identity in the world can ever remain the same and unchanging. Visitor, I think the I principle does not change. Is it not so? Maharaj, your I principle has still not understood. It is the product of the five elemental play, which is always in a state of flux. So how can you attribute the quality of I amness to the absolute state? In that state there is no scope at all for any play of the five elements. It is a state without any attributes. Suppose the absolute had a little sense of this I amness. Would it care to enter a womb? Visitor, during my meditation, attention is on consciousness itself. I realize I am aware of that pure consciousness and so I am not it. Maharaj, your spiritual background is good. You talk about pure consciousness which is all-pervading manifestation and functioning. And in this state witnessing happens. The fulfillment of meditation rests in totally obliterating the memory and non-memory of manifestation along with the sense of being. So long as the guna, sense of being, is there, witnessing happens. Abidance in the non-witnessing state is the Advaita state, the highest. Therefore, all experience must be swallowed, including the feeling of the sense of being, which is the primordial experience. Visitor, As I have said earlier, when I am aware of that pure consciousness, at that point I am quite independent of my body and circumstances. I feel myself, the Absolute, as the origin of that consciousness. And behind this consciousness, the I as Absolute remains in silent repose. Maharaj, you are talking of consciousness. Now tell me, what is the cause of this consciousness? It is the result of what? The product of what? Second visitor, consciousness is a product of food. Maharaj, yes, in the food essence, in this quality or guna, the sense of I am-ness dwells. But understand clearly, you or I are not that guna from the Absolute standpoint. We, the Absolute, are only posing as I am-ness. As the Absolute, we are not that chemical I am. First visitor, later in my meditation I seem to move away from my state of awareness of pure consciousness and slide back into bodily and mental existence. I seek your help at this point. Maharaj, do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just be. Be the knowledge I am only and abide there. To imbibe this, meditate on beingness only. Catch hold of the knowledge I am in meditation. In this process, the realization occurs that I the Absolute am not the guna I am. Therefore, in meditation nothing is to be retained as memory. Nevertheless, something will appear on the memory screen. But be unconcerned. Just be. Do nothing. Refrain from grasping anything in meditation. The moment you do, otherness begins. And so duality. Nothing is to be done. Then all your riddles will be solved and dissolved. Mula Maya, that is, the primary illusion, will release a stronghold on you and will get lost. In spirituality there is no profit or loss. So also there will be no question of birth and death. As a matter of fact, you have no direct experience of birth. It is something like the incident of robbery that happened in Calcutta and of which I, residing in Bombay and never having been to Calcutta, am accused. Similarly, I am charged, not only with this birth but also hundreds of previous births. I am not aware of any birth, only my parents, whom I never knew, are charging me with this birth, with this state of affairs. Are you not ashamed of accepting the charge of your birth? I was absolved of all these imaginary charges when I met my Satguru, who lit the torch of wisdom and showed me my true nature as the unborn. In the domain of the unborn there is no place for the I am nor for the sun, the moon, the stars, the cosmos, etc. The 10th of February, 1980, Chapter 12. Whatever is perceived, you are not. Visitor, I have read I am that and came here on my own. Maharaj, have you read the whole book? Visitor, I have read the first part fully and the second partially. Maharaj, having read the book, did you come to yourself at the witnessing state? Visitor, yes, I understood but I do not feel it. I have no peace of mind. Maharaj, do you get an inkling as to how you are connected with yourself? Visitor, a little bit. Maharaj, would you like to ask any questions? Visitor, not many, but I shall be grateful if I am told how to bring peace to my mind. Maharaj, because of the self, the Atman, you are connected to the world through the body. The self is nothing else but the knowledge that you are. Meditate on that principle by which you know you are and on account of which you experience the world. Meditate on this knowledge you are, which is the consciousness, and abide therein. Visitor, but the concentration is just not there. Maharaj, ignore the mind the way you disregard the crowd you encounter on the streets. Visitor, I shall try. Maharaj, as a matter of fact, mind is a universal dynamic principle, but we restrict it to the limits of the body and then depend on it, hence all the trouble. Consider the water in Lake Tansa. That water belongs to the whole of Bombay. Out of that water, Can we claim some as yours or mine? In a similar vein, understand that the self is universal, but you have conditioned it by confining it to the body. Therefore, you face problems. This self is also termed Ishvara, God, the universal principle. If you hold on to that, profound knowledge will descend upon you and you will have peace. Visitor, I try to meditate on that, but the mind wanders here and there. If I try to remain indifferent to mind, it will be a long drawn out process. Maharaj, but are you not the root of any process? Visitor, the root of everything is life. Maharaj, yes, but the life force is universal and not personalized. Once you realize this, you have no more troubles. Visitor, that is right, but when the mind goes astray I have trouble. Sometimes I feel that life is universal, but at moments it becomes individualized. How to get rid of this? Maharaj, this is the conventional way of talking. The water is universal. Use it when you possess it. Similarly, use the mind to meet your needs and then let it flow by itself without your interference and involvement. Like the flow of a river from where you take water only when needed. My talks are meant for intelligent people. To a local visitor, why have you come? You will not understand these talks. You only sing bhajans in praise of God. Why do I respect those foreign visitors? They are earnest seekers, in search of truth, but they have not been able to locate it. I appreciate their sincerity and deep urge to understand. Visitor, they really go far. Any subject they take, they explore deeply into it. Maharaj, although the two of us talk here, in actuality the two entities, are not there. This is the theme today. At first, no one is. Instantly, one is, and then two. The subject of the talk is, how did these two reduce to one, and finally to nothing? Out of nothingness spontaneously the sense of beingness is felt. This is one. Later, when the sense of beingness knows I am, duality begins. Then, after the duality has arisen, the sense of beingness identifies with the form, and so on. Actually, to refer to the sense of being as one, is not quite correct. Since in this state only the sense of being prevails, where is the need to say even one? With the appearance of otherness, duality, both number one and number two appear simultaneously. To say, something is, I must be there first. If I am not, I cannot say something is. So the fundamental principle in spirituality is that I must be there, before anything else can be. This I is the beingness which is first. Visitor, you said, in the beginning there is one, and later there is none. Maharaj, when one looks into oneself, that is, when one abides in the self, then there is none. Visitor, yet, when one merges, one remains. Maharaj, to say that, is alright in common parlance, but actually it is nothing of the sort. Visitor, but you said that life is eternal, so life is there. Maharaj, but not the life of an individual, it is the absolute transcending the universal consciousness. Visitor, life is eternal, that means life is there forever. Maharaj, yes, life potential is always there, but unless a body form is available, there cannot be any sense of perception. When the body drops dead, the senses do not function. Therefore, no perception or knowing of the world takes place for that entity. Only so long as the senses operate is perception and knowing of the world possible. So, in a way, the absence of sensory function is liberation. Isn't that correct? At present, I am alive and my senses and reflexes react to situations. The senses and reflexes of a dead person do not react. In the manifested universe, when the capacity for sensory perception and motor function is created in a body form, Only then is existence of a perceptible universe possible. The main point is that for a universe to exist, there must be an observer with sense organs in proper working order. The mind interprets the sense perceptions and concludes that the universe exists. Therefore, if the observer's sense organs and mind do not operate, then the observer's universe does not exist. Visitor. But the senses of seeing, hearing and touching etc. belong to the body and not to the self, the Atman. Maharaj. Without Atman, the senses cannot function, but it resides in the quintessence of the body. When it subsides in itself, only Nirguna remains the non-qualitative absolute. Visitor. The Atman can change bodies. Maharaj. The Atman has no body, so how can it change? At present, it presumes that I am means body only. Visitor. In this materialistic world, when we say we mean the body only. But if my legs are removed, they are apart from me. Therefore, I feel that I as such am not the body. Maharaj. That is correct. Visitor. So Atman is something other than body. Maharaj. Atman is not the individual. This must be firmly grasped. Atman feels the sense of being only through a body with senses operating. Otherwise the Atman does not feel itself. Visitor. To realize this, should I do meditation? Maharaj. Yes. Meditation is very necessary. If you can do it continuously, it is good. But with a daily occupation this is not always possible. Meditation done in the early morning hours is helpful and effective. But you may do it whenever you have leisure. Seekers with a deep urge can meditate at any time. In the beginning, a seeker should sit alone in a quiet spot with complete leisure at his disposal. When he attains stability in meditation, he can sit anywhere, anytime. Suppose such an advanced seeker sits here in meditation. He will be totally lost within himself. His attention will be focused on attention only, with the result that he will not be aware of what is going on around him. Further, in such a state nothing will occur to him. Meditation should be of this quality. Suppose somebody is deeply worried. Would he take note of things going around him? When you sit in deep meditation, your sense of being is totally infused with the knowledge I am only. In such a state it will be revealed to you intuitively as to how and why your sense of LMness emerged. Visitor. By the LMness? Maharaj. Consciousness, beingness, sense of being, I amness, all are the same in you, prior to emanation of any words. This is a subtle point, so try to understand it clearly. When I say I was not prior to conception, then what I actually mean is that I was not like this present I am, but that I which could discern this must be there to judge the absence of the present I am. Owing to the absence of a body, that I prior to conception had no sense of being or sense of LMness. With the arrival of a body the sense of I amness is imposed on the prior I. In meditation, this sense of LMness only will indicate how and why it came about. You must be possessed by this idea of finding out what this I amness is, just as you would not rest until you found the source of a smell emanating from some place. For example, if a foul smell emanates you will have to go to that source, and when you discover that it is the decomposed body of a rat, you will have to dispose of that body in order to get rid of the stink. Similarly, if a nice fragrance wafts in your direction, you would like to locate the flower, you must go to the source of this LMness fragrance, and find out its how and why. Visitor. How does one chase that? Maharaj. The principle that gives rise to this LMness fragrance is termed Bhagavan Vasudeva, the God who gives fragrance. The one who receives this fragrance wants to retain it at all costs. Visitor. How can one enter that state? Maharaj. You, from the body-mind level, are incapable of tracking it down. but that principle alone will discover itself. Somebody you may call Bhagavan, or vital or God, is so infatuated with this fragrance that he wants to perpetuate it. Visitor, one day my efforts will bear fruit and I shall find him out automatically. Maharaj, his significance for you will be nullified the moment he is discovered, and you will be liberated from that infatuation with Vasudeva. Visitor, in other words, I think when you always feel it so, you don't go after it. Once you realize the self, then it automatically comes to you, so there is no need for you to track it down. So once we realize it, we can use it the way we want. Maharaj, in that state you will be beyond any needs and wants. You will have no use for anything. No desires will be left, because they are all fulfilled. Visitor, I did not mean that I should use it for my worldly needs. What I meant was that I would become one with it. Maharaj, in actuality you were never detached from it. So where is the question of being one with it? Visitor, it is nice that I never got attached from it, but in my present state I consider myself only the body. Maharaj, this is your concept, that you are the body, and it is deluding you. Visitor, then I will be free. Maharaj, reciting a couplet of Guru Nanak, O mind, what are you searching? Inside and outside it is one only. It is the concept that makes you feel inside and outside. Once the earthen pot bearing the name Nanak is broken, by getting rid of the concept that I am the body, where is inside and outside? It is I only prevailing everywhere. Nanak further says, like the fragrance in a flower, like an image in a mirror, this sense of I amness is felt in the body. Therefore, give up your name Nanak and also your identity with the body. Abide in the sense of I amness and you shall be liberated. Knower of the very first thought is not there. Who will observe the other thoughts? Visitor, when I try to track down the self it seems to me that it creates more selves. Maharaj, but who is it that sees so many selves? One thought produces further thoughts. Who observes the first thought? Visitor, this is what I want to know. Maharaj, only you are the observer of the first thought. If the knower of the very first thought is not there, who will observe the other thoughts? Visitor, if the knower is not, there will also be no thoughts. Maharaj, if you understand this, everything is over, you can go. To expound and propagate concepts is simple, but to drop all concepts is difficult and rare. Visitor, how do I remove thoughts and new concepts? If all concepts and thoughts are removed, will I become one with that? Maharaj, do not try to become anything. Do nothing. Without thinking on any of your words. Remain quiet. Once a word sprouts it creates a meaning and then you ride on it. You follow the meanings of your words and claim that you are in search of yourself. So be wakeful to that state which is prior to the sprouting of words. Did you associate with any sages? Visitor, this is the first time. Maharaj, have you been reading any books? Visitor, I have been reading Paul Brunton's work on Ramana Maharshi. Maharaj, your spiritual background is ready. That is why you listen to the talks and try to understand them. Other people quarrel with me with their concepts. They are brimming over with concepts, with the result that they are unable to listen to what I say. Many people come here, presuming themselves to be very knowledgeable, but I know that they are ignorant only. However, I consider them as consciousness alone. All your identities at the body-mind level have been changing continuously, and none of them has been constant and faithful to you. Why then are you attracted to any of such identities by stating I am like this, I am like that? Visitor, this is all mental. At certain moments I think I am like this. At other moments I think I am like that. Maharaj, who other than you is observing those moments? You are the witness of these moments. whatever is seen and perceived, and also whatever you see inside and outside you, that you are not. Visitor, I am trying to understand. Maharaj, in meditation, you might convince yourself I am Guru Nanak only, or as some people in their meditation firmly believe, I am Bhagavan Sri Krishna only. None of such identities has any stability. The only stable one is the observer of those identities, and you alone are that observer, the eternal one. Take the example of a poor actor who played the role of a king so splendidly that he received a lot of praise, but he is not the king. Similarly, you are not Guru Nanak. You are the observer. Whatever you see and perceive is all the play of Maya, the elusive principle. The 19th of February, 1980, Chapter 13. You must exist prior to witnessing, for witnessing to happen. Maharaj, you say you are writing a book. Have you the necessary self-knowledge, or are you doing without it? Visitor, I am not writing a book on self-knowledge. Maharaj, if there is no self-knowledge, who then is the writer? Visitor, I am writing a book on Yajika Sanas in conjunction with a teacher. It was not something out of my own mind. Maharaj, that is all right. But what about yourself, your nature, identity? You are writing something about physical activities. Visitor, ultimately, yes, I would like to know myself. Maharaj, if you are not, what else could there be? Why are you writing about these disciplines? It is only to know oneself, is it not? Visitor, this will prepare a background for the seeker, to prepare him for his search of the self. Maharaj, but is your own background ready? Visitor, no, of course not. Maharaj, then, why did you write the book? Visitor, because it is a technical one, with pictures. Maharaj, but the author does not know himself, so what's the use of the writings? Visitor, in that case I would rather be with you, but, as I said, the book is technical and under the supervision of a teacher. Maharaj, but what is your profit in this? By doing this job, do you attain yourself? The most important gain in life is to realize oneself. Visitor, I agree with you. In a sense, I probably gained during the time I was working on the book, meaning that I have grown in experience and maturity. Maharaj, that means with your experience you must have collected more concepts. Are you the one that grows in height and breadth? Visitor, number. Maharaj, what is the purpose of your visit? Visitor, every time I visit you, I have a feeling of inspiration and exaltation. Maharaj, what is the use of that also? Visitor, I understand what you are driving at. Maharaj, who observes all this inspiration and exaltation? Who is the knower? You are not looking towards yourself. Instead you are occupied with other things. Visitor, do you mean to say that while looking into myself I should pursue my vocation also? Maharaj, once you look inwards, everything will follow spontaneously for you. Before you recognized your mother, all things that concerned you were happening spontaneously without your knowledge. Visitor, yes, I agree. Maharaj, you have developed into a human being naturally. Before this appearance, did you have any knowledge? Instead of paying attention to this aspect, you involve yourself in the affairs of others. Visitor, shall I stop then with my present occupation? Maharaj, there is no question of continuing or discontinuing your occupation. You should get to know yourself. Visitor, but what should I do until I see myself? Maharaj, you have been doing something. Visitor, earlier you said, why was I involving myself in activities? Maharaj, do not bother about doing or not doing. It is most important that you look at yourself. Second visitor, but at least, He was doing something useful like writing a book on yoga. Maharaj, what is yoga? What is that linking? Who meets what? Visitor, union of the soul with God. Maharaj, God is a word you have heard, while the soul is the direct experience of one's existence. Visitor, I just express the meaning of yoga as generally understood. Maharaj, that means you do not understand true yoga. Do you know that only self-realized sages are worshipped, and not the yogas? Visitor, am I wrong in following yoga? Maharaj, many rishis and ascetics have practiced yoga, but are they worshipped? Addressing a newly arrived visitor, who had met Ananda Mahima. Did you attain the state of Ananda when you went to her? If you had realized Ananda Mahi, you would never have visited her again, nor would you have come here. If you understand what I say, that is more than enough. Visitor, it is not difficult to understand. Maharaj, then why do you sit here? Visitor, I would like to sit here for some time. Maharaj, since you have been to Ananda Mahi, let us know what Ananda is. Does Ananda the bliss have a tangible form? Visitor, I do not think so, but one can feel happiness. Maharaj, agreed. But do you see it? Can you observe it? Visitor, sometimes I can see the essence of happiness emanating from Ananda Mahima. Maharaj, do you not think a knower has to be present prior to any seeing or feeling? Visitor, after reading I am that I understand that a knower must be there before anything can be seen, felt or experienced. Maharaj, you, as the witness, are prior to happiness, but the ultimate you, the real you, are prior to the witness you. Happiness is not lasting. Visitor, initially, during my meditation, when I had the experience of the witness within me, I was terribly afraid, because I felt that I was split into two. This I do not have anymore. Maharaj, you felt the split. Now which one was you, the concept of seeing, or the witness of the concept? Visitor, I did not have such clarity. Maharaj, at least, talk from the intellectual level, if you did not directly experience the subtlety. Visitor, I am the observer of the split. Maharaj, explain the two stages. Visitor, I was afraid that I would see the splitting. Maharaj, was it the splitting of the concept or was it the splitting of yourself? Visitor, neither. Maharaj, yes, you, the absolute, are neither one nor two, but you are prior to both. In the earlier days in India, when the head of the country rode in his car, its license plate had no number. Similarly, you do not need a number. Being the highest Maharaj is again talking to the visitor who wrote books on yoga. You are a yogi, and so you understand what I am saying. Visitor, yes, I understand a little, but I am not a yogi. Maharaj, but you have been studying yoga systems and practicing yoga. When you throw sugar or salt into water, they dissolve in it. Now I ask you, in what did you merge? Visitor, sometimes I merge. Maharaj, at other times? Visitor, I was reciting the sacred name, doing japa. Maharaj, the purpose of japa is to conserve oneself. That means that knowingness is to be retained. Japa in Marathi means to guard, to protect. You should protect your beingness by japa. Another visitor, what is beingness? Maharaj, what you are, the knowledge that you are, without words, just the sense of beingness. Who went to Ananda Mahima, the body or the beingness? The latter is prior to body, mind and eruption of any words. Did you practice japa? Visitor, yes. Maharaj, japa is like a treatment given to your beingness, just as you take medicine and apply poultices to your body for its well-being. Visitor, that is what I feel strongly. Maharaj, You feel relaxed, visitor? Yes, very much. But now that I know something about witnessing, I wonder how I would be doing japa. Maharaj. Nevertheless, at the time you knew that you were doing japa. Visitor. Yes. Maharaj. Then is this not witnessing or happening of witnessing to you? Visitor. Yes. Maharaj. Witnessing happens naturally. When your words enter in me, I respond. Similarly, when we perceive anything through our senses, witnessing of the perceptions happens. No special efforts are called for. Visitor. I want to ask about meditation and yoga. 10 years ago Ananda Ma asked me to do japa. After some time I started witnessing the japa going on in me. Then Ananda Ma told me to pursue it. My problem is how to attain omniscient beingness. Maharaj. The first witnessing is that you are. After that, all other witnessings occur. Unless the primary witnessing of you happens first, any further witnessings are not possible. When the flow of words emanates in you, as I have already said, the witnessing of them happens naturally in you. I repeat once again, the sense that you are should appear first and, subsequently, the flow of words and its witnessing take place simultaneously. Therefore, are you not prior to words? Visitor. I do not know. Maharaj. That is exactly the ignorance, and to recognize it is knowledge. In the final analysis, you, the Absolute, are not this knowledge. Visitor. May I ask a question? Maharaj. Remember Ananda Mai, and with this in mind put your question because she is your guru. Visitor. Now I feel I am alone and that there is no guru. Maharaj. What you say is correct. In that understanding and only in that, you should stabilize. But before you came to this conclusion, did you understand what you are and what the guru is? Visitor. The guru is someone who tells me what to do and I obey what is told to me. Maharaj. Shall we call the knowledge I am the guru? Visitor. Yes. Maharaj. But even that knowledge, you are not. Visitor. When you say knowledge, do you mean consciousness? Maharaj. Of course, knowledge, I am, means consciousness, God, Ishvara, Guru etc. But you, the Absolute, are not that. Another visitor. May I ask, who am I? Maharaj. Are you there before asking or after? Visitor. Both ways. Maharaj. This is to be understood and realized, that I am is even before the arising of any words and questions in me. People always want a name or concept to indicate the state of I am prior to words. When this is done by giving it a name, like for example Brahman, they feel satisfied. Visitor. I am not happy. I am very afraid. M. Also right now, or previously? V. Even now. Maharaj. That fear is due to your identification with the body-mind. When you have no knowledge of the body, can there be fear? Visitor. No. When my guru told me I was the Brahman, this fear started. Maharaj. Exactly. With those words of the guru, your body-mind had a shock because its dissolution began. The fear that you have is in the mind. Visitor. I know that, but I still have it. The body is afraid to be no more. Maharaj. Coming back to Ananda Ma. When Ananda Ma merges into Ananda Ma, herself, that is the highest, the Absolute only. Ananda Ma denotes a blissful state but still qualitative. It is consciousness. Visitor. Is Ananda Ma of this world? Maharaj. It is the other way. All the worlds rest in her womb. What is Ananda Ma? Your state of bliss only. The knowledge you are. If this is not, nothing is. You consider Ananda Ma as a personality, but it is nothing of the sort. Ananda Ma is the state of being. The 13th of March, 1980, Chapter 14. Subtler than space is the sense of ness. Maharaj. Beingness can act in the world only with the aid of a body. This body is the quintessence of the 5 elements, and the quintessence of the body essence is the knowledge I am. In the absence of a body form, the beingness cannot know itself. So, you should hold on to that indwelling principle, the beingness, only. The potential for all activities rests with beingness, which is in dormant condition in food body juices. These juices emanate from the 5 elements. The presiding principle of the whole functioning is the knowledge I am, which is the quintessence of the 5 elemental body. This knowledge I am has to be understood correctly. The beingness, vital breath and mind are formless. In the course of the 5 elemental flow, various body forms of the multifarious species are created. When the vital breath infuses these different body forms, the beingness also expresses itself through them. Vegetable essence, which is called sattva, goes into the making of the diverse bodies of species, and in the bodies dwells the sattva sense of being. Each species is given a name according to the shape or form of the body. Expressions and actions of the species vary according to their body forms. Of all the species, the most evolved is the human being, who therefore qualifies for the title Ishvara, God. With the functioning of the vital breath, mind flow begins in a human body, and actions are performed according to samskaras, which are impressions collected from the outside by mind. Editor. Samskaras, a Western term that may be close to the Sanskrit meaning is engrams. A body may be dark, fair, tall or short, but the indwelling principle which is the knowledge I am has no color or dimension. Just like the vital breath and mind, it is merely a sense of presence, a feeling of effulgence, and mind functions like its vehicle or medium for executing worldly activities. You want to meditate, and so you should. Real meditation is to abide in this sense of being. In fact, meditation means the sense of being holding on to itself. It is said that after death one goes to heaven or hell, but this is mere concept and hearsay. When a body has died, the indwelling Atman, sense of being, loses memory of its beingness and does not know it is. In that state there is no sleep, waking and knowingness. You should understand this clearly. If one thinks one is the body, one becomes a slave of mind and suffers accordingly. Therefore, you should completely identify yourself with the highest principle in you, which is the knowledge I am. This will elevate you to the status of Brihaspati, the guru of gods. You think you are somebody, but you are nothing of the sort. The sense of being is expressed through the body as a consequence of the all-pervading absolute. This sense of being is deeply infatuated with itself and is termed Atmaprem, self-love. It is also called Guna, Shiva, and Brahman. It is the self-love that is functioning through different bodies. Since there is only this principle expressing itself, in different ways, through the different vehicles, there is no you, I, or he. When the body dies, it decomposes into the 5 primary elements, and the vital breath, prana, merges in the universal air, and the guna, that is, the sense of being, instantly becomes naguna or non-being, just as a flame is extinguished instantly. Please listen to my talks intently. If there is no vital breath, the guna has no quality of being. Only so long as the guna exists, do grand titles such as Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu apply. Without prana, the vital breath, there is no movement or dynamic quality either of the body or even of the guna. In short, when its dear friend and attendant, prana, quits a body, the presiding principle, guna, also evaporates. In a heap of grain, consciousness is latent, and in the presence of favorable conditions, it will manifest according to the form and quality of the species. If you have any questions on this topic, Please ask, visitor, are biological forms created naturally, without any purpose? Maharaj, yes, but a particular species procreates only within the pattern of its own image. Man does not beget a lower animal or vice versa. Coming back to the sense of elemness, you should understand that it is the subtlest principle, subtler than space even. When it is extinguished because of death of the body and stopping of the vital breath, the event is termed nirvana or nirvana. This is a state in which there is no sample left of I amness, a sampleless condition absolutely. The state does not know it is and is beyond happiness and suffering, and altogether beyond words. It is called the Parabrahman, a non-experimental state. Visitor, what is the blissful state in meditation? Maharaj, when the meditator forgets himself totally in meditation. It is Vishranti, which means complete relaxation ending in total forgetfulness. This is the blissful state, where there is no need for words, concepts or even the sense of I am. Visitor, all concepts and us sprout out of the principle which was latent in the fetus. Is it not so? Maharaj, yes. Visitor, could it be that our thought emanation also is already decided? Maharaj, the thoughts are not predestined but are the reactions of impressions, samskaras, which you receive now. Visitor, God or Ishvara is said to be omnisciently knowledgeable. What does that mean? Maharaj, Ishvara is not an individual person. It is an all-pervading principle, which is latent in everything. It is manifest in the 5 elements, the 3 gunas, and in the cycle of waking, sleep and knowingness. Visitor, does it mean no duality? Maharaj, duality is only at the body-mind level. In the all-pervading universal consciousness, millions of births take place every day, but in its basic absoluteness it is Ajnana, the unborn. Although as universal consciousness it is multi-qualitative, as the absolute state it is nirguna, non-qualitative. To an American woman, who is a writer, you'd better go home soon, before you fully imbibe this knowledge, otherwise, you will be lost to all your identities. Visitor, I cannot say, Maharaj, but I say, you will be relieved of the comings and goings of all your concepts. Even your sense of elemness will be liquidated. In this country, for ages it has been accepted that a sacred name carries great spiritual potency if recited properly. It has no better substitute. Millions of persons in the world are personified by the names given to them, because a name has utility on the worldly level. When you are initiated into a spiritual discipline with a sacred name, it means that it represents your ultimate true nature. Be one with the sacred name completely, then it will give you all the mystic knowledge necessary for your spiritual elevation. It will awaken you into your eternal awareness. This is the mystic key word of the Navanath Sampradaya, the traditional order of the 9 gurus. These gurus were neither cultured nor highly educated. According to one of the stories, a man sat on one of the highest branches of a tree, cutting the very branch he sat on from the wrong side. A guru passing that way, seeing the naive man's one-pointed attention, took pity on him and blessed him with a name which the man recited diligently. In due course, this simpleton himself became a great sage. Such is the power of the sacred name recited with concentrated attention. The 29th of March, 1980. End of chapters 8 to chapter 14 of 21 chapters. The Nectar of Immortality. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj's Discourses on the Eternal. Edited by Robert Powell PhD. Thanks and gratitude to the editor, Sri Robert Powell, for the compilation and the book. Thanks and gratitude to the website archive.org for the text used in this video.